Hello everyone. The last video left off with a pretty functional game, Raincatcher game. We've got to the point where the game works, it keeps score, and we do have something to control the different states of play. So when you start, it starts out in game this game mode, and then it ends, and then the screen changes to that. So we've got, in this case, we only have two different states, but we're controlling them. So the balls in the bucket go away, the drops in the bucket, rather, they go away when you're not in the play state, and they appear when you are. Okay, so, but we're going to need actually three different states, and we're going to need, we want to do them with buttons. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to make three different states, three different screens, and then also create a button class to create buttons to go between those different states. But I'm not going to do it in this code here because I want you to. I've walked you through all of this now. I'm going to do it in a separate, simpler way, and then you're going to have to apply that to your own game. But it's very similar. It'll just be a bit more of a challenge for you. I think you can do it. So what I'm going to use now is this code that we've used before, the bouncing balls, or what did you guys say? There was the DVD screensaver. What I'm going to do is switch this. We're going to pretend like this is actually a game, which is really not, but we pretend like this is a gameplay mode, and we're going to have an opening screen and then an end game screen, and each of those will have buttons. So first thing I want to do is create, at least make those screen states happen. And what we did before is we created a variable called state. I don't know why there's a counter up there. Okay, variable called state, and I'm going to start it at 0. And make a note here to myself that 0 equals opening, and then 1 is going to be play mode, and 2 is going to be game over, or ending screen, game over. Okay, so what we did before is we used these states to control what's actually being rendered to the screen. So in the case of the Raincatcher, we said if state equals 1, then move those drops, move that bucket, show the countdown score. If state equals 2, show the countdown. If state equals 2, then just show the score. So we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to put this inside of if. We're going to set up that first screen, the state 0, which is the opening screen. So we're going to say if state equals 0, then do something. Else if state equals 1, then do all of this, which is the playing of the game, which it isn't really a game, but we're pretending it is. And then else if state equals 2, and I could have just said else, but I'm doing an else if. Like, what if I add more states on later? I don't know. I could easily change it, but here I'm reformatting that. So all we're missing now is something in here. And let's just test to see if this works. Text, I'm just going to write for the opening screen, I'm just going to put some text on the screen. Welcome. So if it's state 0, we'll see welcome. If it's state 1, we'll see the balls. And then if it's state 2, we'll see text game over. Okay, so state 0, just welcome. State 1, ball's bouncing. State 2, game over. So we'll start it at 0. Yay! All right, so that's our opening screen. I'm going to change this, make sure it works. I'm going to change this to state 1. That's exactly what we want to see for state 1 and state 2. No, it didn't do it. What did I do wrong? Oh, I didn't give it a position. There we go, game over. Okay, we've got our 3 states. So now that now we got to make buttons so that we can click between these states. So I'm going to create I want my buttons to kind of be in control of themselves and know what they're supposed to do. So I'm going to create a class for buttons. Class button. And it needs a constructor. And which we'll probably want an X and a Y and a width and a height. And my button needs to say something. So I'm going to put a variable in here called text. So it'll say play or restart or something like that. So when we create the button, we also give it a label, basically. It's like a label. Then we do this. Okay. And then we got to give it a method to draw it to the screen. So call it render. Okay, and then it's going to be a rectangle. Rex. This dot x. This dot y. This dot width. This dot height. Okay. Constructor. Rect. Render. Okay. Okay, so let's go up here and let's create those buttons. We've got the class. I'm going to make 2 buttons, a play button and a restart button. And we're going to have to add more to that class. Don't worry. Start button, restart button, and then here we'll create start button equals new button. So what are we going to give it? We're going to say I'll draw it in the same place, 50, XY 50, 50, 80, 30, and then the text will be play, because this is the opening screen, play. And then I'll do another one, and the text will be restart, and change that to restart. So 2 buttons, play and restart. Okay, I've created them, but I haven't called them yet. I haven't done anything with them. Let's change this back to 0. Okay. So I've created them, but I haven't rendered them. Let's just test to make sure they work. I'm just going to render one of them. I'm not putting this in the right place yet. I just want to make sure they work. Start button dot render. Okay. Cool. There it is. Awesome. Okay, so we know that works. Okay. So here's the thing. We want to make 2 buttons. We only want them to show at different times. So if we look here, we already have something like that going. When this text can be basically replaced by the button, or we could keep the text and have the button, whatever. let's keep the text. Why not? We'll say start button render done. Okay, now cool. And we're only going to see that if we're in state 0. So let's test that, but I'll change it to state 2. And there's no button. Awesome. Okay. I'm also going to put the text in there so that it's not, wait, no, back up. I didn't put the text, well, don't worry about that right now. It doesn't say anything, but we're just going to test and see if it works. Okay. So now we want, let's put the restart button in as well. Restart button. Oops. Dot render. Okay. Okay, so that, oh, we're in state 0. Let's change it to state 2. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's put the text in there so it actually says play. I mean, we've made it. We're passing it that information. We might as well use it. So we'll say text this dot text. So each of them will show its own text. So it will show us that we have separate objects that are obeying their own rules. This dot x, I'm going to move it down and over, plus 10, this dot y, plus 20. Okay, let's see that. All right, restart. Let's change this to 0. See if the first state works. Okay, so now it's not just drawing a rectangle, it's also drawing text to that rectangle. Wonderful. Okay, so now we need to make each of these clickable. And let's make sure, is our other state still working? If we go to play mode, which is state 1, we shouldn't see any buttons. So let's see. Yes, okay, good. Okay, so now we want to make our buttons clickable. There's so many different ways to do this. What I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to have each button checking for itself. And we did that before. Like this function here, bounce, is where the ball is checking to see if it's hit the edge, checking to see if it's hit the edge. I'm going to do something similar, and I'm going to give each button, what I want to do is to be able to type this, start button dot click, like that. That's what I want, and so that it'll always be checking to see if it's clicked on. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go down here and create a method called click, and we're going to check a few different things. We're not putting this, okay, the tricky part is we usually put stuff like this in the mouse pressed, but we're not doing that in this case because, well, we could. I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to use the mouse's pressed boolean, that built-in variable that will be true or false. So if mouse is pressed. So I could say if mouse is pressed equals true, but if I just say mouse is pressed, I think I said this in another video, it automatically equates to true or false. So all I have to say, if mouse is pressed. So before anything, let's check and see if the mouse is pressed. If it's not, don't worry about anything. But we also want to see if the mouse is on top of the button when it's pressed. So we're going to add those lines in. So the mouse is pressed, and this, no, I'm sorry, mouse X is greater than this dot X, and mouse X, mouse X is less than this dot x plus this dot width, and mouse y is greater than this dot y, and mouse y is less than this dot y plus this dot height. So, okay, so if the mouse is pressed and it's on top of the button, then what do we want to do? We want to say console dot log, and I'm going to put in this dot text, so it will actually tell us which button has been pressed, which is handy. Okay. Okay, so we have that working. Okay, we have it here, we have it here, and then we have it up here for that one. I'm going to add it to here as well. Restart button dot click. So it will only be checking if it's on the screen. Oh, let me change the state up here. State equals started at 0. Play. Play. Ah, do you see what's happening down here? 7, 2. That means it's fired off 7, 8, 9 times. And if I hold it down, it just keeps firing that. How do we fix that? We just want it to happen once, but I'm using this mouse is pressed here instead of mouse clicked, and that's going to be true as long as the mouse is pressed. So here's how I'm going to deal with that. I probably should have done this in a different order. I'm going to leave it like that for now because it actually kind of doesn't matter in terms of changing the state, but it's good to try to avoid that. Let's actually, before we fix that, let's actually have it change the states of play. So let's see. So when this one is pressed, when start button is pressed, we want it to change to state 1. And when the other one is pressed, we want it to change to, well, change to state 1 as well. Okay, they both do the same thing. I know. I'm trying to like show you a scenario where you could have different buttons do absolutely different things. So I'm going to kind of set it up like that, although some of the stuff I'm doing is not totally necessary, but it would be in many other situations. So, so it kind of makes sense here. When it's clicked, that's when you would want the state to change. The button doesn't draw anything. It doesn't move anything. The button's its only purpose is to change the state. This up here, if state 0, if state 1, that controls all of the different screens and what's drawn to the screen. That's that is what's controlling that. So we just want to change the state here. That's it. So I'm going to say if if it's pressed and it's clicked on, then the state equals 1. And they both make it equal 1. But I'll make this a little bit fancier. Okay, so that's exactly what we wanted to happen. Do you see that? As soon as we clicked it, it went into state 1. Let's change it to the closing screen. Let's change it to state 2. And play and see if the restart button does the same thing. Yay! It does. Now I don't have, like, how do we get out of state 1? We don't have a button here. It should have a timer, right? And I don't want to set up a timer right now. You've seen me do that already. It would just make the video longer. I'm gonna fake it. I'm gonna make a key pressed thingamajig here. I'm gonna say here function key pressed state equals 2. Okay, so we're going to pretend like this is a timeout function. So if I press a key, all of a sudden we go to the game over screen, or game over happens, whatever. Okay, so let's try start at 0, play. Okay, welcome, play. Game starts. I'm going to hit a key. Game over. Oh, we can't see it. Oh, we got to fix that. Oh, because the balls, oh, you see what's going on here. It starts out as a default white, but once we start drawing the bouncing balls, the fill activates, and then it stays that way. Let's fix that real fast. Fill. We want our buttons to be white, and our text to be black. Okay, that should fix it. Play. I'm gonna hit the key. Restart. Okay. So this is working great. I mean, this is really, really fine. But I do want to go back and I want to fix that whole. Well, the other thing that's problematic here, that works in this scenario, but it's not a great idea, is that they are actually the same button. They do the same thing. We want them to have their own identity, their own a different purpose. So what we can do then is pass in one more piece of information to the button when it's born, and it will give it an ID. And that ID is basically going to, it equates to the state, same thing as the state. So if the ID is 1, then its whole purpose is to change the state to 1. That's the way I'm thinking about this. There's a lot of reasons you would add an ID to objects. It's very helpful to track them and whatnot. So I'm going to ask for an ID. I'm going to say this.id equals ID. And so now up here, after play, they're each going to be 1, I know, but we could, if we wanted to, have them do different things. No, I know. 1 and 1. Let's just make sure everything's cool. Okay. So what we want to do, because we're still having that issue with when the mouse is clicked, console.log. You know what, I'm actually going to, let's see, this is what we had before, this.text. Okay, and now as long as I'm holding it down, oh, it only happened once because the state changed. Well, that's convenient, because the button went away as soon as we press it. Okay, well, that kind of solves the problem right there. I was going to do one more thing. It's a good little trick to know. I was going to say, add one more condition to this, to say if the state right now is different than my ID, meaning if the state isn't already in the state I'm supposed to change it to, then do this. But if it already is, ignore it. And you're not going to see any difference, but I'm going to do it anyway. If state does not equal, remember that bang operator, does not equal this.id, and I'm just stringing that in with the other one. So if the mouse is pressed and we're not already in the state that I want to change it to, and you're on top of it, then change the state. There we go. There we go. Okay. I hope that was helpful. And I did it in this way, like I said, so you can take the concepts and translate them to your program without just copying everything I type. So I hope that was helpful. I don't know if there will be another video. This might be the last one. I think you guys are on your way. Okay, bye.